From Levi Stadium, Adam Copeland, Super Bowl champion Dennis Brown, John Lynn with you following a Niner victory over the Dallas Cowboys. 30-24 the final. Niners go 24 unanswered points before the Cowboys pick up 14 in the fourth quarter. Nobody hates a big fourth quarter lead like the 49ers do. They made it dicey. They pulled this one out. Again, 30-24 behind Brock Purdy's 260 passing yards and a rushing touchdown, passing touchdown. Isaac Guerrero. We like Ike. 14 carries for 85 yards and a touchdown. He ran the ball well after J.P. Mason left with an injury. Plenty to get to here on the postgame show. 808 KNBR, the number to call and to text. Check us out streaming, twitch.tv/thesportsleader, KNBR.com, and the KNBR app. Boys, number one takeaway from this one for me is just that I don't think these are two very good football teams.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the way this game kind of went. I mean, the first half, it was up and down, right? It looked like Dallas kind of had the upper hand. The momentum was going the way. Then all of a sudden, the 49ers take off second half. They come out and they score 21 points or something like that. And then the defense disappears. You decide you're going to cover CeeDee Lamb. Give him some big shots down the field, some touchdowns. And then, that last drive, it came down, even though the 49ers had 30 points on the board, it came down to that last drive. And then all of a sudden, Dak Prescott, the pass rush was there. It wasn't like bearing down on him, but he just didn't make the plays at the end of the football game.
It was wild. Yeah, because, first half, and Brock will probably tell you this, I mean, he was off. He was 10-6 at the half. He missed Debo on a fourth down across the middle that should have been a play that was made. He had Debo on a deep out that was a play that Brock would usually hit. He just wasn't quite on with his throws, so they go to the half at 10-6, and in the third quarter, nothing could go wrong. They get the ball, they go right down the field, they get an interception, Dak Prescott, touchdown after that, and you're feeling pretty good. It's 27-10, and then you got a whole vibe in the stadium. People started to leave. Everybody thought the game was over. All of a sudden, Dallas cuts it, with over almost 4 minutes left in the game. They cut it down because they get a touchdown in 53 seconds. The defense just fell asleep. So they score in 53 seconds. All of a sudden, you're going, this is a problem. And so Dallas actually got the ball back. They were down 30-24. They got the ball back with 3:05 left in the game. And I got to believe that they're on the sidelines trying to rev everybody up. But the stadium was kind of quiet. They felt like the game was already over. And first play of the drive, if Fred doesn't tip the ball up in the air, Demo's right there to get an interception. So you're thinking to yourself, oh man, they missed that thought. But then Dak misses 3 consecutive throws, and Dallas didn't have any timeouts, so they run the thing out. But it was like first half they didn't have any energy. Brock was a little bit off. Third quarter they couldn't be stopped, and then it was like, okay, game's over. And it's like, no, it's not. Yeah. So you feel good. George Kittle was great. It was National Tight End Day. He had the touchdown on a Conley play that was originally called an offensive pass interference. I got to be honest, I don't know how it wasn't, because he ran into 2 players and did earlier this year.
They took 2 flags on it that said neither of them were OPI.
Honestly, if I was a Dallas fan, I'd be sitting there going, how is that not OPI? I mean, he just blocked 2 guys so that Kittle was so wide open. But they get the win. You got to take it, because now you're 4-4. You go into the break, you feel great. I'm telling you, I was up there because we've all sat there and said, we trust this defense, and they finally got a stop on a key part of the game. But could you imagine if Dallas was able to come back and win this 31-30? Because, I don't know, it was just a weird feeling game because they're dominating, and I felt like at the end of the third quarter, the 49ers took their foot off the pedal. 49ers fans started to leave the stadium. There just wasn't a lot of energy in the place. But they did a great job in running the clock out and getting a win, because that's a big win now to go to 4-4.
Go ahead, Dennis.
I'm just saying that's a huge win. And, I was sitting here in the studio watching the game. Like you said, in the fourth quarter, I was like going, what is going on here?
You look up, it's 30-24, 3 minutes in Dallas.
They can't close games. I mean, they can't close games. I know they won this one. 17-point lead is what helped them do it, but they can't. This team is not good at closing games. They've done this now numerous times. It's a problem, and I know people want to look at Kyle Shanahan and play calling and all that. The defense is not very good.
Right, and the only reason why third downs were picked up was Brock Purdy running the football.
Yeah,
I mean, it was.
Did a great job.
He made good decisions. He took the defense kind of gave them, but it was getting those third downs were tough.
Yeah, defense about as shaky as some of the policy for Bosa's dude. Let's get you the stat of the game, sponsored by Poppy Bank, located throughout California. Poppy Bank is here to help you hit your financial goals. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Why don't we make the stat of the game? You mentioned George Kittle, National Tight End Day. He goes and catches a touchdown, goes for over 100 yards. But the more impressive thing to me, that touchdown catch was his 500th reception, George Kittle's, of his career. He also, and this blew me away, he now has the 3rd most receiving yards of any 49er pass catcher in history. Jerry Rice by a long shot, Terrell Owens second, and then it's our guy George Kittle. How about that?
That's when I heard that, I was thinking, wait a minute, he's better. Russ Francis, Dwight Clark, he's ahead of all
Dwight
these guys.
He passed, yeah.
It's amazing what he's done in his career here with the 49ers. And, I don't know if, I guess he's the best tight end to play in a 49ers uniform. But it's just, I know he's a good player, had a fantastic game tonight, but I didn't know he was up that high in the record books.
Yeah, pretty incredible day for Bosa.
The other big number, too.
Excuse me, for Kittle.
We said this in the pregame show was going to be run the ball, stop the run. 223 on the ground for the 49ers, 56 for the Cowboys. Cowboys came in averaging about 77 yards per game and only 22 totes, which was second worst. They had 19 for 56 tonight. So they stopped the run. Early, it was a little shaky, but they stopped the run, and then they were able to run the ball themselves. Ricky Pearsall with a nice 39-yard jet sweep, so it was nice.
Yeah, rookies played well tonight.
Rookies did play well today. We made the connection, I believe, with Dominic Puni, offensive lineman for the 49ers, a rookie O-lineman here, joins us on the 49er postgame show. Dominic, Adam Copeland, Dennis Brown, John Lum with you. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
We're doing well, man. Great game today for the offensive line. I thought you guys did a good job in protecting Brock, and it was pretty cool to have another rookie behind you, and Ike Garendo have his first real big performance as the lead back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He showed out today for sure.
And this is Dennis Brown. So I play defensive line. So, offensive linemen are not my favorite interview, but you guys, I mean, you talk about the backs. I mean, you've CMC hasn't played. You've had some different backs in there. As far as an offensive front, I mean, how does it different? Garendo was in there. He played really well, ran the ball really well. How does it change up for an offensive line when a different running back's behind you?
Nothing changes for us up front. We block everything the same because we expect our running backs to do everything the same too. Their tracks can't change just depending on who's in the game. Coach Bobby T does a good job just keeping them all on the same path. And Isaac came in today and we didn't miss a beat. So nothing changes for us up front. We just keep blocking us.
Yeah, and that rookie class is pretty impressive.
Yeah,
you guys balled out. Both sides of the ball. Your rookie class is balling out for sure.
Thank you.
49ers get the win 30-24. Dominic Puni, third-round pick, is joining us. When you look at the numbers, I mean, obviously there's no stats for offensive linemen, although there's inside stats and everything. But when you see, that's true. But when you see 223 yards rushing, you kept Brock upright for most of the time. Do you guys take a lot of pride in that with those yards, the amount of yards you ran for today?
Oh, yeah. Anytime we can run the ball for 200 plus, I don't know how many carries we had, but
36. So that's 6-2 a pop. That's
real good. So anytime you get 30 plus carries or 200 plus yards, it usually means the game going pretty well. So for Isaac to come in while JP went down was huge for us. But, we take a lot of pride in running the football. So tonight was a good night.
You guys take pride in the moments where Brock Purdy's able to get out there? Because usually it means you guys have held long enough for him to either go through progressions or sometimes some pressure will come. But he had some really big runs, and we've seen more of that this year. But you want a quarterback who's going to go through the progressions, then go and take what's given to him. I thought Brock did that in spades today.
Oh, yeah. We take pride in no sacks either, no pressures, no QB hits. Like, no offensive lineman want to be that guy. And I think it's a blessing in disguise to have Brock. Not even disguise. It's really just a blessing to have him. He's able to get out the pocket and create with his feet too. Not a lot of quarterbacks are able to do that. So I mean, he definitely gets us out of some sacks and some pressure. So I mean, anytime he wants to get out, he can get out. But he does a good job standing in the pocket and going over his reads.
We're sitting here calling you a rookie, which you technically are, but you're 8 games into the season. So how much better do you feel, say, right now in knowing the schemes and knowing what to expect versus when you started this whole thing out?
I feel a lot better. Week 1, I was fortunate because the Jets was really the same defense I've been going against all camp. Mm-hmm. They really is the same defense as us. So week 2 was kind of my first test of a different defense. Mm-hmm. And I think every week since then, it's just been one thing I need to work on. And Coach First has done a good job just kind of keeping me on track. Just making sure I'm not slipping up in key moments. Make sure I'm just on top of my thing. So, every week I do feel like I'm getting a little bit better.
Any idea on how you're going to spend your first bye week?
I'm going home.
Oh, yeah. Good for you.
I'm going to see my parents and my brothers and my nephew and my friends.
Well, congratulations on a good week. A nice win for you guys today. Again, 30-24. You're halfway through your first your rookie season here in the NFL. We're looking forward to seeing you after the bye. Thanks, Dominic.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Dominic Puni, rookie offensive lineman for the 49ers, and he's played very well to this point. The young guys on this team, I mean, it's been a good draft class. You look at Renardo Green, you look at Ike Garendo now, what he did today out of the backfield. He's got real out-of-the-cannon speed. I mean, he's really, really a different style runner than J.P. Mason.
Well, I think you can see the potential with a lot of these guys, like with Guerrero, for example. I know he wants to bounce things out. That's what he's done. He has a lot of great speed, but you're seeing that he's getting the ability to run it between the tackles, and if he can do that, and we got a shoulder again from Mason, so that the bye comes at a good week. But you're right. I mean, you start looking down the line. Ricky Pearsall is looking more comfortable. He had 2 catches on the first drive at a 39 yard end around. So you're seeing guys, Mustafa, not only hitting, but you're seeing him now in pass coverage. Doing certain things. I just think these guys are starting to get a lot of confidence. I think that Green had an injury. I'm forgetting what it is. Maybe it was an ankle or something like that, but it doesn't seem too severe. He's starting to play, and obviously he's in there a lot more than Ike Adam. Adam was in because he got banged up. Green got banged up, but I mean he's the first corner off the bench. So it's one of these classes where they're really top heavy, and they've got to have these guys step up. And with all the injuries that they have, they've just had to. They've just had to throw these guys in, and for the most part, they've got it done. Yeah,
and when you come in, I mean, at least when I came in the league, the starters let you know that you're not here to be a backup. You're here to be a starter, and you have to prepare that way because you never know, especially if you're running with the twos. I mean, you have an opportunity to be out there, and they depend on you to be out there. So they used to always it just went down the line. They would tell us, as rookies, say, listen, you're not here to be a backup. You're here to be a starter. And then, when those guys moved on and those backups became starters, you would tell the guys that would come to the next draft class, listen, especially if you're a high draft pick, you're not here to sit on the bench and take notes and give advice when we come to the sidelines. We expect you to be on the football field contributing. So I think we're seeing it with this class. I mean, it's early in the football season, but these guys are really starting to show up.
Adam Copeland, Super Bowl champ, Dennis Brown, John Lynn with you here live from Levi Stadium still after the Niners beat the Cowboys 30-24. They head into the bye week at 4-4, and they're right now in second place in the NFC West after the Seattle Seahawks fell. Niners have the tiebreak over them. However, they fell to the Cardinals. Cardinals in first place today after a win over the Miami Dolphins, and Kyler brought them back. They win by a field goal. Win by a point after kicking a game-winning field goal. We got more to come here. John Dickinson's going to join us. Super reporter, boots on the ground, tell us what he saw. Larry Krueger will stop by as well. We got more to come. Niners 30-24. Always feels good to beat the Cowboys. They're now 3-4 on the season. That's, by the way, their first road loss. They have yet to win a game at home this year. The difference maker of the game is next, only here on the Sports Leader.
that's all Brock and our whole team. Just opportunities and opportunities. Actually, Isaac said it perfect. We're all just out here working together. Offense, defense, special teams. We all played off each other tonight. We were a little slow there, in the second half a little bit, but we found our rhythm. Our defense came up big, and then we were able to run the clock out. Nothing like it, and Brock's just throwing up dimes like he always does.
George Kittle on National Tight End Day today. That's a great game. He goes on the day, 6 catches, 128, and a touchdown. Also had that big, long 43-yard grab up the sideline that he almost got to the end zone. He was moving quick, by the way, for with a sprained foot. He was moving hard up that left sideline there. Let's get you the difference maker of the game, sponsored by Benjamin Moore Paints. Experience the Benjamin Moore retail difference at our independently owned authorized retailers today or at BenjaminMoore.com, and by Abundant Life Weight Loss. Call 925-594-7110 to start your journey today. Difference maker of the game, who'd you have today, Dennis?
Well, you just had him, George Kittle, right?
Yeah.
I mean, look at the way he played today. I mean, third quarter was George Kittle quarter. I know it's national whatever tight ends week or month or whatever it is, but he balled out. I mean,
he just can't get behind it. He's not having it.
I just
He's pissed. There's no DN or D lineman.
After we're done, I don't hear more about this tight end thing.
Not until next year.
He played. I mean, he played that George Kittle. I mean, and we talked about the Dallas had issues covering the tight end, and they exposed it today. In the third quarter, he just exploded. So, he was definitely a difference maker.
I'll give it to Guerrero because, he gets 85 yards on 14 carries, had a 19-yarder and a 15-yarder, had another 19-yarder that was actually wiped away by a hold. This is a couple of times now where he's had to come in for Mason, and you're kind of holding your breath going, oh, man. And, I'd like to see him go between the tackles. He bounces a lot of things outside, but it did work late in the game where he again slid down, could have had a touchdown to add to this thing as well. He did get a 4-yard touchdown, like you said, after the Kittle 43-yarder. He bumped it in from 4 yards, so he could add a couple of touchdowns. But he's learning, and that's kind of what we're talking about with this rookie class. Isaac Guerrero in a situation. Think about how he came into the year. Christian McCaffrey was going to be the starter. Elijah Mitchell was going to be the backup. Mason was going to be the third guy. Guerrero at best was going to be the fourth guy. And now all of a sudden we're less than a few games into the season. It's like, hey, dude, you're going to have to start playing. So. He's kind of inexperienced. I think he has a lot of ways to go, but you can see that, with the 4.33 speed and the quickness that he has, and yet he's 220 pounds. This guy can be a player, and he's kind of been forced into action, and more times than not, he's gotten the job done.
And, it just speaks to the running backs. I mean, I don't know if it's the offense or it's a style of running, but running backs get beat up in this system. So if you come in here, if you're a 49er running back, most likely you're going to end up being, no matter where you are in the depth chart or in the room, you're going to end up starting for this football team. So, we'll see how he holds up. We'll see how JP, if that shoulder is going to be ready for in 2 weeks. But, Isaac, fantastic job today. Again, once he gets to that second level, this cat is so fast.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw him get to the corner that last run he had. I mean, he's just fast. I don't know what his 40 time is, but he is fast.
He's really, really quick and doesn't have a lot of experience in being like a bulk carry guy or a lead back in college. I believe his only start in college came in the final game he ever played in his college career, and it was a bowl game week where the starting running back had already declared for the draft and said he wasn't going to play in the bowl. Isaac Guerrero, 14 carries, 85 yards, and a touchdown. Something I thought was unique today, too, that they did not really have, and we've talked about the judge machine stuff with J.P. Mason. They had no problem using Guerrero for dump-offs. He only had 3 catches today, but there's a few other targets that they went to him. He's a guy that they think they can catch it out of the backfield and get moving. Now, they think McCaffrey's going to be back after the bye week, which obviously a huge positive for the Niners. But what Guerrendo's given you in terms of a change of pace guy, and I say change of pace, a lot of times it's a different style bruiser to go the other way, where Mason was kind of the between the tackles bruiser and Guerrendo's the speed guy, was kind of a cool, unique thing to do. I'm going to go with Deebo Samuel as the difference maker today, because before he went out with the injury, he was as electric as George Kittle was. Had it not been for that holding penalty on
6-yarder,
Saubert,
right?
and
on the right side.
I really did think it was a hold, and I think that it was a huge reason as to why Brock was able to get that ball off. So it was a legitimate flag there. But Deebo on the day, 4 catches, 71 yards. He also ran it a bit out of the backfield, 4 carries for 15 yards, not quite as effective, but he looked like he was doing damage all over the field today. Big-time bummer that he leaves with a rib injury, but great to have the bye week here, try to get some of these guys healthy.
Yeah, and that's the great thing is you hope Mason, you hope Deebo, you hope these guys get this time off. They got to go all the way to Tampa. We'll get to that towards the end of the show. But like you said, I think especially offensively in the second half, they really got some guys to show up. We had Dominic Puni on just a few minutes ago. He really, the line played well. Again, like he said, when you're going for 223, now you had a Pearsall in there, you had a Guerrero with a couple of explosive runs and that kind of stuff, but they were consistently good along the offensive front, and Dominic Puni's been good all year.
Dominic Puni's been fantastic. The O-line played really well. We'll get into some of that protecting the quarterback stuff. What was your take on Dallas? Because I know, again, Niners win by 6 in this one. They've got a knack, though, for making games look closer than they actually are. They got beat a couple of times earlier this year where they came back at the end of these games and made the score look a little bit closer. I don't know that they're a playoff team. With the way things are going. Again, they can't run the football at all. Zeke Elliott, 10 carries for 34. Dalvin, 6 for 12 today. I told you, I asked John before the game, what do you think about the over-under on Dalvin Cook's rushing yards for today at 30.5? He's like, I don't know, man. I don't know if we can do that. And we didn't. We can't. He went 12 yards, 2 yards per carry. They ran it 19 times for 56 yards. Love to say the Niners did a great job and shut it down. They didn't really do that. Cowboys just don't run the ball effectively at all.
Yeah, they tried a little bit in the first half, but then they got into the second half. It was 27-10, and they couldn't do it. And then offensively, like we said, I mean, Dak completed 25 passes. 13 went to CD. He had 17 targets, and it's not of the long variety. It's just, let's just get it in his hands and see if he can do something. It's 3 yards, it's 4 yards, it's 5 yards. These are really short routes. You just get the ball in his hands because he is clearly their most explosive athlete on offense, and they just don't have much more. Zeke Elliott's done. Dalvin Cook. I mean, if you had Zeke Elliott and Dalvin Cook 5 years ago, you'd have had a hell of a backfield, but it isn't 5 years ago, and both of them don't have any juice. So they've got a lot of struggles. I don't know where they can go offensively because Dak struggles. Their offensive line is not great. He threw 2 really bad interceptions tonight. Probably could have thrown, like you said before, Dennis, he could have thrown 3 or 4 interceptions in this game. They're clearly not a playoff team. Washington won on a Hail Mary today, so in the East, Eagles ended up winning today. Dallas is not getting in the playoffs.
Yeah, right now at 3-4. I mean, they got a lot of work to do, and they've already had their bye week, and again, they don't have any Derrick Henry walking through that door. They just don't have a run game, and Dak is not. They don't have enough weapons for him to shoulder this load. CeeDee Lamb 13 for 146 and 2 touchdowns, and the 2 come at the end. But that first one, by the way, it was like there was no Niner on the left side of the field. How do you leave that guy unguarded?
Well, the second
on a crossing
one too,
pattern.
right?
The second one too, yeah.
Busted coverages, but their schedule is getting easier, right? Yep. I mean, they hit the road here, and they got some tough opponents in front of them. They still got to play Washington. They got to play Atlanta.
They go at Atlanta against the Eagles, then they go against the Texans, at Commanders of their next 4.
Yeah, so they got to try to figure it out. I mean, they're one-dimensional right now. Right?
No doubt.
CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott. Dak's going to throw 3 picks a game at least.
Yeah, and you said this before the game that he would throw it to you, and I just can't believe a guy of his stature. He was second in the MVP last year, and I know they don't have a whole heck of a lot of weapons, and it's a one-dimensional offense with no running game, but sometimes you look and you just say, he just doesn't see it. And for a guy who's been in the league as long as he has and as accomplished as he has, he could have easily thrown 4 interceptions. He threw a couple. Demo's interception was great. Did a great job on it, but sometimes you're looking at this guy going, he's not seeing it right now. And give the 49ers defense credit because they created the confusion, but that's a bad team. They're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, and the Niners, by the way, still have a lot of work to do. I mean, I know Niner fans feel good because a loss would have been just earth-shattering, I think, going in at 3-5 to the bye, feeling like you could be 6-2 or something at this point. But because they go in at 4-4, it's a palatable 4-4. But I asked you guys before the game, is there anything that the Niners can do that's going to make you feel different about what their potential is for the second half? I don't feel a lot different about this team after this game.
Well, I think you get a different feeling if you get some of these guys back, maybe. Mm-hmm. I mean, as it stands right now, no. They are. I mean, defense, they just don't play the run very well still. I think the secondary's really good. I think, at the receiving crew, with these young kids that we talked about, I mean, they can get better. But right now, it's, they're 4-4. And they're 4-4, but in division, everybody's 4-4, right? Except for the Rams.
The Rams are 3-4, I believe. Yeah.
So, I mean, you still can win your division, but I think it changes if some of these guys come back.
A lot of the problems they've been having were not corrected, I don't think, today.
No. Yeah, but, again, Dallas isn't a good running team, but they stopped the run today. They didn't give up anything on the special teams, which we were so worried about.
That was a big deal, special
game.
Teams today for sure.
Turpin is a great returner, and they didn't give anything up in that front. And I think, Brock Purdy struggled a bit in the first half, just missing throws by a bit. Second half, they came back. That third quarter, I mean, that's what you got to try to bottle. It went, we get the ball, which some reason, Mike McCarthy actually won the toss and took the ball. So the 49ers got the ball to start the second half. Dak throws the interception. They score on all those possessions. They get 21 points out of the third quarter. So that was huge. They got to somehow bottle what they did in the third quarters because they shut them down on defense and the offense was rolling.
24 unanswered to start the second half for the Niners, and then the Cowboys come back with 14 more. Niners hold on and win it by 6. We got more to come. John Dickinson, Larry Krueger will join us shortly. Let's get into more of the offensive line play and how Brock threw the ball today. At one point, his numbers at the half, I think, looked pretty good, but some of his misses today were inaccurate, and he's had a lot of these of late where rolled out of the pocket or he's missing a couple of wide open receivers. The one to Kittle in the first half is one that comes to mind, but overall played a pretty damn good game, and I think people should be excited about Brock's bounce back relative to the way he played last week. I think we anticipated that. Also thought his running was really, really good today. It's the defense and closing games that have been problematic. Adam Copeland, Dennis Brown, John Lund, Niners over the Cowboys. How about those Cowboys who are now 3-4 and still don't have a home win? 30-24 the final. More to come on the Sports Leader.
Yeah, that's a heck of a rookie class right there. I mean, you just kind of named them all, but I don't think you can talk about it enough. It's so hard to play as a rookie in the NFL, and all those guys playing at such a high level right now. It's been amazing to see, and they've all come in with the right mindset, following everybody's lead, man, and we're going to need them in a big way in the second half of the season.
Fred Warner there on the rookie class for the 49ers. I think we'd all agree rookie class has been damn good for the Niners to this point. Saw Guerrero today. And again, Bernardo Green's been nice for them this year. We talked to Dominic Puni here on the postgame show just a few minutes ago, but it has been a good rookie class. We've been impactful to this point for the 49ers. And Ricky Pearsall got in there today. 39-yard run on an end around there out of the backfield after Deebo Samuel left the game in the fourth quarter. But let's get into a little bit more of the offensive line play here, protecting the quarterback, sponsored by the Contra Costa County Office of the Sheriff. Apply for your new career in law enforcement at cocosheriff.org today, and by Planet Orange, effective, eco-friendly pest control. In terms of protecting the quarterback, Brock was sacked twice today for a loss of 14 yards. I really do think the offensive line, less than protecting Brock, gave more opportunities for Brock to go through some progressions. He actually had some really good runs, I thought, today in situations where I was okay with him running. We talked about him getting happy feet a little bit in the last few weeks, and second leading rusher on the team for the Niners entering play today. And it was because he was a lot of times tucking it and just going, or they weren't getting enough protection for him. He was running for his life last week, it seemed like, against the Chiefs. Different D-line today. No Micah Parsons back there to sort of protect a little bit or spy on Brock. I thought Brock played really well, and I think a lot of that credit, especially for what Guerrero did, goes to the offensive line.
Yeah, and, you know... Are
you going to credit the offensive line, Dennis?
No. I'm going to credit Brock Purdy because, I mean, some of those runs, I mean, he in the backfield, he's looking for plays down the field, but I think his decision-making was a lot better today. I think he sees the opportunity to get the first down and not, force the ball into someone. He sees, he's got some green grass and he can run that 10 yards or that 5 yards, get that first down. And the offensive line, I mean, if they can hold defensive linemen long enough, he's going to open up those run lanes. But I'm going to credit Brock Purdy because I think he made good decisions. He didn't force balls today. And there's a couple times he ran a boot and he could have tried to force it in there, but instead he just kind of threw it out of bounds or took the loss or run the 3 or 4 yards. But he had a couple key first downs definitely in the second half. So I'm going to credit Brock Purdy.
Yeah, I thought he stayed in the, maybe that was just how they coached it this week, but he stayed in the pocket. And the key times for a quarterback, he got that big, the 3rd and 7 run on the last series to milk the clock out. Those kind of things you don't mind. There was one time where I thought, and he was screaming, so he knew it, but he almost threw an interception by the right sideline. You're up 17 points at that juncture of the game. He throws it, gets tipped, it almost gets intercepted. He had plenty of time rolling right to just say, okay, I can live for another day on this one. So, again, a couple of things you still want to do. First half, a couple of throws were off, but in the second half, especially at the third quarter, they really gone on it. Second half, I don't know what they said to Brock, but, man, he was right on point with his throws. So he got better as the game went on, and like you said, he didn't just scramble around. There was more, 1, 2, 3, hit the back foot, the ball's coming out. Yep. That's what you want to see him do. If he needs to scramble once in a while, if he needs to extend a play once in a while, that's fine. But you got to know that the thing that made him so successful when he first came onto the 49ers was it's complimentary football. Don't put your defense in a bad position. Let the run game handle it. Don't try to overdo things. You're fine. He only did that one time on the move to the right on the tip ball that almost got interception. Just throw that ball away.
You and I were talking about that one where Diggs gets right in his face, and it was like, I remember on the replay, you were going, throw it. Because he had numerous opportunities as he's running.
Throw it away.
Nothing was opening up, and he almost hit the ball right. And by the way, if that goes down there, this game may have gone a completely different direction. They would have recovered the ball after an interception right there inside of like the 30-yard line.
It was 27-10 at that point. You're just like, if we don't turn it over, we don't screw it up. But it's okay. I mean, these are still learning lessons. We do forget sometimes that, Brock is evolving as a quarterback, and he's just got to find that middle ground, which for the most part tonight he did.
Adam Copeland, Dennis Brown, John Lem with you. Why don't we get our guy Larry Krueger in here, get what he saw on the game. We were all watching the game up in the press box together. We'll get Larry's thoughts. By the way, Larry very vocal today in the press box about the Niners offense in the first half. Was not happy with those 6 points. We'll talk about that with Krug next after the Niners beat the Cowboys 30-24. Krug, those 6 points in the first half, difference in the game. They were key. We'll get into it next on the Sports Leader.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's 4 quarters for a reason in the sport. It's the NFL. You can come out hot and stall, or vice versa. And it takes everybody, man. Offense, defense, special teams. So I saw the rest of our team was clicking, man. It's like, all right, I have to do my job. And so third quarter came out and just, like I said, kept it simple, but also played aggressive. And, just try to do what Coach called and hit guys when they were open and keep it simple, move the ball, not try to hurt ourselves. That first half, man, that was the main thing, is we had plenty of opportunities, but we just kept hurting ourselves. And so that was the mindset, and we were able to put up some points. So.
There's Brock Purdy after the 49ers hang on to beat the Cowboys 30-24. He ends up 18 of 26, 260 and a touchdown. Was a little off in the first half, but then got it going in the second half. Before we bring Larry Krueger in here, get his thoughts, let's give you the injury report. That's sponsored by our good friends at Havas Law. They'll fight to make it right. Visit HavasLaw.com, and by Mike Council Plumbing. When you need plumbing, think green and go with Mike Council. That is Mike Council Plumbing. 30-24. They get the victory. Here are the injuries. D. Winters, he left with a concussion. That shoulder, again, problematic for J.P. Mason, which is why we saw so much Isaac Guerrero. Debo left with injured ribs in this game as well. And I think Renard Green had a late ankle to add to that list as well. So hopefully everybody can get healthy. And the biggest thing being that Christian McCaffrey. We're hearing a lot about Christian McCaffrey after the bye, hopefully being on that Tampa Bay trip. So, again, they go to the break at 4-4 with a 30-24 win over the Cowboys. And let's bring in Larry Krueger, of course, 49ers Nightly, which you hear every night and see every night at 6 o'clock on the YouTube and on our other feeds. So make sure, and then, of course, the Krug channel, the Krug Show.
That's right.
Make sure you check that out on YouTube. And he's been crushing it on the Krug Show for a long time on YouTube. So make sure you subscribe to that. What do you think? 30-24, the Niners hang on. What do you think of it?
Well, it was a great win. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but it didn't matter. To me, I loved what I saw from Guerrero. He got 17 touches, over 100 yards, 6 yards a carry. I mean, when you run 36 times like the Niners did for 223, you're talking about over 6 yards a carry on that many carries. That's impressive. And we all saw the pregame, breakdown of the Niners and the Cowboys. And it's like the Niners should have won this game. Why? Because the Niners, when they get together with Dallas, the Niners can run it. The Niners can stop the run. Dallas can't run it. Dallas can't stop the run. It's almost, I can count on like one hand all the football games I've seen in my life where, the team that didn't run it and didn't stop the run won. So it's a huge part of the game. You have to be able to run. You have to be able to stop the run. The Niners can do that against Dallas, and it was great to see because they Jordan Mason went out, and they need somebody else to step up, and Guerrero did.
And, you talk about things that the Cowboys did not do very well, and one of the things was not cover the tight end. And you see a big day today from George Kittle. And I find out at the end of the game that now he's third on the list of all-time receiving yards, next to Jerry and T.O., and that just blows my mind. But talk about his game today.
Oh, I mean, he's just first of all, he's playing hurt. He's got about 4 different injuries. He doesn't talk about it. And when you're a leader on the football team and you're getting paid and you're the veteran and everybody's looking at you, the way it goes, Dennis, it's like, but you get to week 8, week 9, week 10, everybody's hurt. Right. The old saying, everybody's hurt. Tell me when you're injured. Right. And so he's hurting. I'm sure he's got a bunch of maladies. I mean, how did you feel, Dennis, at this point? Because you guys, these guys have been playing. There's OTAs and minicamp, but from when they gather in training camp, middle of July to middle of August to middle of September to middle of October. We're talking about 3 full months of regular hitting. Your body can't feel good, right? What does it feel like by week 10?
You're beat up. You're beat up. And you see, and we talk about this rookie class. This is when those rookies are leaned upon now. A lot of the veterans, like you said, you're beat up. You're playing in the game. You're playing in practice. And now it's time for some of these draft picks. And we see today this rookie class played really well, both sides of the football. This is when you rely on those guys. You got to step in and you got to play at a super high level. And I think that's what the 49ers have done well. Prepare these young kids the opportunity to go out and play, but play at a very high level. So you've gotten themselves ready because everybody's beat up. And the starters are really beat up right now. Your body's week 8, your body's beat up.
Yeah.
Real beat up.
So I mean, they're not feeling great. They're limping into the bye. I thought this game was dangerous. Why? Because Dallas had 7 days of extra rest. They're coming off their bye week. McCarthy was 3-1 coming off of a bye with Dallas. They just got their doors blown off by 40 points by Detroit a couple weeks ago. So you knew that whatever Dallas's best effort was, they were going to fire it tonight. So you knew that they were going to come and play. So 49ers are limping into their bye a little bit beat up. Some guys, obviously out at wide receiver. They're having to lean on their rookie class, but they did it tonight, and they found a way to persevere and to get into that bye at 4-4. And now they get a week to kind of rehab, lick their wounds, kind of refocus, and get ready for Tampa. And now they kind of catch a break too, because Tampa's going to be without Mike Evans and without Chris Godwin. And that Tampa offense a couple weeks ago was looking unbelievable. So that's a huge break.
Larry Krueger joins us following a Niner 30-24 win over the Cowboys here live from Levi Stadium. I asked you before the game, Larry, what do you need to see today going into the bye that will give you that will change your perspective about what this team is capable of, considering what we've seen? I still think they made a lot of the same mistakes today, especially defensively. They're having a tough time closing games, but your answer was the young guys. You need to see them step up. Did you see enough from guys like Ricky Pearsall and Garendo to think that they can be key players in a stretch run for the postseason for the Niners?
Well, you know what I love about Garendo is that, he doesn't have great instincts. He ran up the back of one of his linemen today. He juggled a halfback toss pass. Looked like he was going to fumble it. He's really raw and new. But when the Niners can get into that formation where they get spread out on the line of scrimmage, and instead of having 2 levels of defenders, they almost spread them out, and you got, almost like 5 or 6 defenders all on the line of scrimmage. When you can get that kind of a look, then it's just about springing Garendo past that line of scrimmage. And, man, if you can get him past the line of scrimmage, nobody wants this guy on the second level, and nobody wants him in the secondary. He's just too big. He's too fast, and guys take bad angles. So I think he's really exciting. He's raw. He's not your perfect running back, but it doesn't matter. What he has, they can't teach, right? He's got 220 pounds and low 4.33 speed. So if you can just get him past the line of scrimmage on a lot of these plays, I mean, it's like one safety takes one bad angle and it's a house call. So he's exciting. And I think he's going to give this team a huge lift.
Yeah, I think when he starts to learn how to really move within the tackles, I think that he's going to be a real, straight ahead guy and figure out where those creases are. He's going to be fine. He has a tendency to maybe try to bounce everything outside. Now, he did a nice job on that last drive, and he slid down. He could have just scored there, but I like that he's thinking and has that kind of mentality. But he juked the guy and went to the outside and could have got into the end zone. But a couple of times early, he had the 15 and the 19, and that was actually between the tackles. He bounced a couple outside, and he's got to remind himself that, he's got better long speed than anybody. There's guys who are going to catch him on the outside if he does that. But look, this is the second time now or third time he's had to come in because Mason had a shoulder. And we were saying this before you got here. I mean, if you think about it, McCaffrey was your first string running back. Elijah Mitchell's in there. Mason's in there. This is your 4th string back. Better than any back that Dallas has. And he's your 4th guy on your roster.
Well, I was talking to Aaron Banks in the locker room, and he said, what's really impressive is this kid he does make some mistakes, but then he doesn't make the same mistake over. He seems to learn from his mistakes. Shanahan kind of referenced that in the postgame. He doesn't make the same mistakes over and over and over again. And the thing that Banks made the point was like, once they pop the ball out a couple times, that film circulates, and then every defender is going for the ball, and now he's got he's got that thing locked up with 2 arms. He's looking like Larry Zonka running through the hole now. So I love it. It just shows growth. It shows that football's important to him. It's determination not to fail. It's a realization that, hey, once I put the ball on the carpet a couple times, they are coming for this football on every single snap, and I have to protect it with my life. And it's like it's a major thing for a rookie, and he's stepping up into it, and he's up to the challenge. So it's great to see.
What'd you think about the D-line play today?
Well, one thing I mentioned to Bosa is that in the pass rushing snaps, and Dennis, you saw this, I'm sure, they put Sam Aquinu, the defensive end, at defensive tackle, and they're going with that kind of like that Arden Key NASCAR package where they go with like, basically defensive ends outside, and then Sam inside, and it really helps them as gives them another pass rusher, and they feel good enough about, Sam against the run where they feel like they can put him in there and stand him up, and he's getting the job done. So I kind of like that wrinkle, the kind of the 4 defensive end look across the front in obvious passing situations.
And they run a lot of games out of that too.
Right.
There's a lot of twist stunts and a lot of NT stunts. So it gets the pressure. I mean, Nick Bosa gets his 1 sack. There was pressure, especially the last 2 drives with Dallas. I mean, there weren't sacks, but there were pressures to get Dak off his mark. He had made a couple throws off his back foot. He jumped on one throw. He missed a throw. But I still don't think the pass rush is where it needs to be right now.
I agree. I mean, if there is one... so if I could add one piece to this football team, it would probably be an edge rusher, just to give Floyd a little bit, be able to use him in some more pass rushing snaps and just have a little bit more depth. I agree. If they could have one more defensive lineman that could dial up heat on the quarterback, that would help. Offensively, if you could either utilize Cowing and Guarendo's speed, if not, if you could get a veteran that had some vertical speed, a Darius Slayton, something like that, not necessarily a superstar, but just somebody who can really run to replace some of the deep routes that Ayuk was going to run or they were intending to use him on. So I think those are the 2 things that I would look for. I'll tell you, the other guy that came up big today was Campbell. I've been kind of tough on Campbell because I don't think Campbell has played that well, but man, I thought he was terrific today against the run.
In the first quarter, especially, he was all over the place. He was making some good plays. He laid some of the best hits I think he's had as a 49er in the first quarter.
Best game as a Niner for sure.
What changed with him today?
I don't know that anything changed other than he's getting more comfortable in the defense. I mean, he's a big-bodied guy. He's a veteran. But also, I just think they're standard. I mean, the Niners ask their second-level defenders, their linebackers, Warner and Greenlaw, to cover the entire second level. And it's really a tall ask. And so Campbell's asked to cover a lot more ground than he probably ever was, even going back to the University of Minnesota. And there's an adjustment period. So, it's about finding that tempo, playing fast, playing smart, being in the right place at the right time. I thought tonight, we'll see on the rewatch, but at least watching it one time, I felt like he was leading the charge against the run most of the day.
What do you think these guys are? We're 4-4. 2 years ago, they lost to Kansas City. They went to 3-4. They played the Rams. This time they played Dallas, and then they didn't lose again to the NFC Championship game. Can they do that kind of a thing? Are there too many injuries? What do you look at when you see them where we're sitting now, 4-4 going into the bye?
Well, I don't want to say, well, they're fine. They're fine. They're not. I mean, the schedule's pretty tough, right?
Go to Tampa after that's a
you
long
got
trip.
Tampa, you got Green Bay at Lambeau, you got Buffalo in Buffalo, you got Detroit later in the year. Even the division games, the 3 rematches promise to be challenging. I mean, it's the NFL. It's tough to find a win in this league. But that being said, the 49ers have a lot of talent, and they added a lot of talent in this rookie class. And we're starting to see those guys lift this team up. So I think if the 49ers could get this win, and they did, now they can get into the break, take a breath. John and Kyle can assess their needs, probably add a piece here or there, before November 5th. And then, you got CMC coming back. You got Greenlaw coming back. You got Afonga coming back. I think they're primed to make a run. I mean, does it look great? No. Is there an NFC team that the 49ers can't beat on the road in the playoffs? I would also say the answer to that is no. So bring on the second half, and I think they're going to be game and ready for it.
Larry Krueger, the voice you hear, Niners Nightly, weeknights 6 to 7 on KNBR. The Krug Show, you got one going tonight?
I do. I'm going to go back upstairs. We'll do a little bit more tonight and on YouTube and have a little fun with that. And then I'll be back tomorrow morning doing more stuff, and probably tomorrow with Greg and John. And, a lot to talk about. Big Monday and quick turnaround. But I'll say this, just walking through the stadium, seeing all the faithful and the fans and all the different people hanging out, it's like there's lots of people that understand that this team's got bigger fish to fry.
Yep.
And it hasn't been the start that they want, but nobody's given up hope. I think the feeling here is it hasn't looked the way we want it to look, but It's not, it's about gradual and incremental improvement and maybe getting a little help at the deadline and taking it from there.
We'll see what happens at the trade deadline. Krueger, appreciate the time as always, man.
Sounds good,
Enjoy
guys.
the week. We'll talk to you later. Adam Copeland, Dennis Brown, John Lynn with you from Levi Stadium, where the Niners knock off the Cowboys 30-24. Could have been a whole lot better in terms of the final score, but they did hold on and wrap this one up. Defense did hold up at the end of the game. And I got it. Look, I got to do it. A little bit of levity. I got a nickname. We're calling him the Secretary of Defense. Adam Copeland, John Lynn, Dennis Brown from Levi Stadium. More to come. Niners over the boys on the Sports Leader. Adam Copeland, the Super Bowl champion, Dennis Brown, John Lem with you here following a Niner win 30-24 over the Dallas Cowboys. And as healthy as the Niners are hoping to get over the bye week, I think the 49er faithful need the mental health rest for how they're going to handle the back part of this season. At 4-4, the Niners with an opportunity still to make a run here when they get out of the bye. They'll be taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa, but they could have Christian McCaffrey back. Why don't we hear from the head coach, Kyle Shanahan, after the game tonight from Levi Stadium? The post-game interview is sponsored by the Handler Union Square Hotel, San Francisco's oldest family-owned hotel. Here's the head coach, Kyle Shanahan.
All right, guys, injuries from the game. J.P. Mason had a shoulder, did not return, the same one. D. Winters had a concussion, didn't return. Debo Samuel, ribs, didn't return. Renardo Green, ankle, didn't return. Go ahead.
Kyle, what did you think of Garendo? He
hadn't played a whole lot. He had 6 yards of carry tonight.
I thought he did a great job. Came in, he was ready to go. JP got banged up. JP tried to come back and maybe could have, but Isaac was rolling and did a good job.
What was the halftime message? You guys obviously came out really well in the third quarter, so was there anything?
Stop having penalties. Stop having penalties. There was no message. It was we got to stop hurting ourselves. We had I think 7.5 yards of play in the first half, and had a bunch of big penalties that really hurt us. Debo's obvious one getting called back, a couple of the holdings on some long runs. And then, missing that fourth down was big. We felt we were doing some good stuff, but we hurt ourselves, and it was nice to start off in the third quarter and go down and score right away. And D started rolling. I think we got a turnover the next drive and did it again, and got in a little groove there for a little bit.
What was your concern level there in the fourth quarter when they were coming back?
Big. I mean, when you're up 17 or whatever it was, 13, and then take it to a 6-point game and you're getting the ball with 3 minutes left. I mean, that's just normal football. And for the D to struggle for a couple series like they did, and then when they got it back for a possible game-winning drive to go 4 and out was huge.
What was so special about Purdy's play in the second half? And do you think this was a sign of things to come after the bye?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think it was a gut check for him. I mean, for all of us, things in the first half, we were close, but it didn't go great. Brock, there's a couple plays I know he'd love to have back, and I thought he came out in the second half, and there's a few plays that weren't there, and he did a hell of a job extending with his feet. The one in particular, we were trying to throw a screen at Debo, and the DN peeled with it, and which means you have no play, and he just ran and turned it into a 16-yarder. So he did some real big things there in the second half.
You just like was said about the red zone issues in recent week. Of course, the 49ers came out with a lot of poise on those drives and scored 24 unanswered points. Talk about how they were able to solve those red zone issues.
It was just one game. It's a long year. We'll see where we end up in the red zone at the end of the year, but I thought we ran the ball much better down there, and that helps.
You're just coming off of this, but Kyle, you're 4-4 going into the bye. Can you assess how these first 8 games have gone and what you see, coming up in the second half?
I could maybe do that for you tomorrow. I'm just thinking about this game right now, but I'm glad, you always go into a season, you expect to win them all. So you're not exactly where you want to be, but going into this game, we knew this was a big win. We didn't want to be 3-5 going into the bye week, having your backs against the wall like that. Getting that win was huge. Being 4-4, not at all the record that we wanted when we set out. But when you look at our division and everything, feeling a real good spot, and especially finishing it here with a win. Hopefully we can take some time off, rest a little bit. Get a couple guys back, hopefully, and come back and string some wins together here in the second half.
Since he was a rookie.
What is it about him that can... Okay, go ahead, Jerry.
Kittle, since he was a rookie. If you,
that was nice.
Is there anything he does that surprises you? And isn't he, in your mind, still an ascending player?
Kittle? Yeah. Kittle's the man, so especially on his holiday. Usually he does better. But there's a couple of things in the first half, and just like Brock, that he missed. A couple he would have loved to have back, and he came back in the second half and just played as good as you can.
Going back to Garendo, I'm taking this one. Going back to Garendo, what do you think? What do you attribute kind of his surge of confidence to in the last several weeks? Because there's certainly been a marked difference in how he's been running.
I think he's learned from each run he's gotten. There's a couple runs earlier in the year that he did all right on, but we grade him pretty hard, everybody pretty hard, and he had a couple 4-yard runs we thought he could have got 7 yards on. We go pretty hard on him, and then you watch how he takes that to practice. And everything we've really kind of been pushing him with, he's been real coachable. He's not a sensitive guy. He's real detailed, and he's very poised for a rookie. Things aren't too big for him, and didn't get a lot of preseason. But once he got healthy there and throughout this year, I feel he's gotten better each week.
On that Kittle question, as you draw up a game plan with receivers hurt like you have, how comforting is it sort of to have a tight end like that who's been so reliable for so long and obviously has a rapport with Brock?
It's very comfortable. It was a challenge, losing some of these guys, losing BA last week and not having Juwan, Debo being a little banged up and then not having him there late in the game. You need everyone to step up, and I thought a lot of guys did, and Kittle did in a huge way.
Rendo, Pearsall had a big third down catch. You're playing Mustafa, you're playing Green, you got obviously Puni. In the middle of the game or even after, does it hit you like, my God, this rookie class, if you didn't have them, something else would be happening this season?
I think about that a lot during the week. I mean, that's who we're practicing a lot with during the week. You know, we went into this year, we thought it'd be real hard for a lot of the rookies to earn starting positions, just where our team was at. But we believed that they were going to give us some real good depth, and you hope to have some good luck and stuff and not have to get to that. But we haven't in all areas, and unfortunately, that a lot of those guys are players. They showed it in preseason, and when their number's been called, they've all come in and done their job, and they all continue to get better too.
What happened on the sack when you're up 6, sack on the last or second to last drive for you guys? What happened on that play, and how impressive was it for Brock to be able to hold on?
Oh, on the one that he got sacked on? Oh yeah, they had everyone up at the line of scrimmage, so we had a can, which is just how we get out of plays, audible. Which he had Ricky all wide open, but the guy in the line of scrimmage hit it so hard and he couldn't get it off. So it was really an unbelievable play by Brock not fumbling it.
How big of a threat is Brock as a scrambler? What does that aspect of his game add to the offense?
It just adds another tool. I mean, it's really tough, the heated battle, just with all those plays and situations that, you know, you get sometimes where if the guys aren't open and things that the play's over, or just when someone, misses in the pocket and someone gets there, it usually ends fast. But Brock's got the quickness to get away from people. He's got a kind of feeling when to hit it, and he was awesome today with his scrambling, and he's been awesome all year with it.
Debo's ribs and Renardo's ankle, do you have any indication how serious they are yet?
I don't.
There was some discussion in Seattle if Garendo actually meant to slide. He maintained, of course he did, but obviously there's no doubt on this one. I guess, do you agree with that? And it's pretty heads up for a rookie. I mean, is that something he was told before that?
Yeah, we told him on this one. Yeah. But he listened at least. It's hard to turn that down when you're running in, and I'm glad he did it for the second time. But this one was much better.
As 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan on what happened in this one, he says, yeah, really nice to go into the bye at 4-4, 3-5. Would have felt really bad to sit on this. And after the first half, scoring just 6 points, Brock was not playing well. I didn't think things looked good for them at all. And they come back, they score on 3 consecutive drives to open the second half, and then they put up another 3 to go up 24 unanswered before allowing 14 in the fourth quarter. John Dickinson, our super reporter, is here on hand. He'll join us next. Adam Copeland, Dennis Brown, John Lund with you for about another 25 minutes or so following a Niner 30-24 victory over the Cowboys on the Sports Leader.
That was my idea. You know, we had 4 active tight ends for the first time this year, so I was really excited about that, getting Braden Willis up. You know, it's a holiday. You're trying to, you know, celebrate all tight ends, you know, not just, you know, guys who get a bunch of targets and stuff. Like, tight ends do the gritty stuff, special teams, goal line stuff. So I'm just happy to have them all run out with me. I really do appreciate my tight end room this year. They've been fantastic. Just helped me out as much as I can be. Any other things I do on my holiday? You know, I think I lost the last 2 on the holiday, so getting a win on National Tight Ends Day was very helpful for my confidence. And
there you go. George Kittle on National Tight End Day. And a couple other notes for him. We pointed this out earlier. He got his 500th career reception today. He also moved into 3rd all-time in receiving yards in 49er franchise history, which when you think about it, I mean, immediately top 2 guys that come to mind, Jerry Rice, of course, who still got a ways to go to get to Jerry. And then you've got T.O. there. But for a tight end in this era, to do it, you know, I know he's been here for a long time, George Kittle, but to have watched his career to this point and be like, wow, I can't believe he's already there. That's pretty cool. We'll make him the player of the game, sponsored by Bigelow Tea. Grab a mug and tea proudly. Just like I said in the pregame, and I was the only one who said it, I think George Kittle's going to go off. I was the only guy who picked him as the player to bank on. Only guy who said he might go for 6 and 120 plus a touchdown. He was working hard for that touchdown today, too.
It's amazing. I mean, when I hear it, I mean, you think just how the tight end position has kind of evolved in the National Football League. I mean, George Kittle was next to T.O. and Jerry Rice. In this new style of offense, you know, Brent Jones was my tight end, and you know he caught balls, but mostly he was a run blocker. But tight ends have really evolved, and this whole tight end of the day thing, whatever it is, he showed out today. And he played. I mean, he's a vet. He's a wily vet, and we knew going in that Dallas Cowboys didn't cover tight ends very well down the field, and he kind of exposed them. Had a great game.
And look, I you know what Travis Kelce does, and Brock Bowers has done really good things as a rookie for the Raiders. But in terms of a combo guy, that's just what it is. I mean, he had a great game. He's open a lot, and it's really forced Brock even to look at him a little bit more. I mean, remember, you know, Debo again is out of this game with ribs. Ayuk is already out of this game. He's still working on chemistry. Ricky Pearsall said after the game, I mean, we're still working on it. They'll work in the off week, but you know, George Kittle is there, and he makes great play after great play. You could tell in that play where he got 43, just got stopped at the 4-yard line. He wanted that touchdown so badly. So then they came back the next drive and got it for him in the corner there of the end zone. But you know, National Tight End Day, I think it was 16 touchdowns and 177 receptions for tight ends.
I saw 177 catches for tight ends. J.J. Watt had a pretty funny tweet today. Wow, a co-D lineman of yours who's honoring National Tight End Day, J.J. Watt tweeted out, he said, has any position group as a whole ever marketed themselves better than the current group of NFL tight ends? He said,
Kittle.
He said, National Tight End Day, Tight End U, etc. Touche to the fellas. Have heard about National Tight End Day approximately 6,500 times today in watching football. And then he tweeted again right after, because Kittle caught that touchdown. 2 flags come in for offensive pass interference, and then they end up picking up the flags and call it a touchdown. Watt tweeted, quote, "It's National Tight End Day. Just pick up the flags."
Well, it must have been, because if anybody watches this, and
it's pretty obvious.
I mean, he literally blocked 2 guys, but they went together. Guys, National Tight End Day. Got to get Kittle a touchdown. Okay, we'll do it. It was crazy. I mean, that was like a dictionary definition of OPI. Chris Collins didn't even try to hide that he was blocking there, but. Yeah, give it up, man. It's Kittle, man. You got to let it go.
Yeah, pretty good performance there for George Kittle. Brock Purdy had a much better second half than he did first half. Niners only scored 6 points. Is that back-to-back games, by the way, with just 6 points in the first half? It's more understandable against the Chiefs. Yeah, low scores. I don't believe they found the end zone in the first half last week. I know they drove down. They were close. They only put together 1 drive. That's right. It was 1 drive there at the end of the first half last week, and then they kicked a field goal and went into the half. So 2 low-scoring first halves, but give it up for some of the adjustments at halftime. And I know people are going, well, it's a bad team in the Cowboys. I agree, and they only won by 6 points, but pretty good deal, I think. They were able to hold on eventually and pull this one out after almost losing a 17-point lead. Our guy John Dickinson, super reporter, boots on the ground, is going to join us here live from Levi Stadium as the Niners beat the Cowboys 30-24. JD joins us next to tell us what he saw, and we'll get to the drive of the game. Only here on the Sports Leader.
In motion, handoff to Garendo, straight ahead, touchdown! San Francisco!
Isaac Garendo, his first career rushing touchdown, his first career touchdown in the NFL, 14 carries, 85 yards. He went for 6-1. A carry looked really good, as long of 19. He had a 13-yard run and a 19-yard run after J.P. Mason left the game. In the first half, he comes back in and carries the load for the Niners, who go for 36 carries, 223 yards. We'll make that rushing touchdown our drive of the game, sponsored by El Cerrito Honda. More than just a car dealership, we're family. Adam Copeland, Dennis Brown, John Lunn, and our guy John Dickinson with us here. Super reporter, boots on the ground following a Niner 30-24 win over the Dallas Cowboys. JD, what's going on, man?
What's going on, fellas? Good to be with you, as always. And, wow, it got a little dicey there toward the end, but the defense able to get one final stop after some miscommunications and breakdowns, and CeeDee Lamb kind of having his way there for a couple of possessions. The Niners looked like maybe they were going to be in position to blow another one, but they got the stop they needed to and turn things around in the second half offensively to build the lead that they had in the first place.
Yeah, and he got, I mean, I'm sitting here watching the game, and you know that fourth quarter, you know, when I think one drive, CeeDee Lamb had 3 consecutive catches, big catches, and then the touchdown, and you saw the defense, you know, 2 series back to back, just kind of blow coverages. You know, what did you see during those plays?
Yeah, I mean, just miscommunication, blown coverage, you know, things
but
that
CeeDee Lamb, I mean,
well, no, and
he is the only thing the Cowboys have.
And Fred Warner, he said that after the game, just straight up, it's their best player.
Yeah.
We cannot allow the best player on another team to run wild like that in moments of desperation. And I think, you know, the defense is really going to have to take a look in the mirror at adjustments during the bye week. I mean, they played pretty well overall in this one. There was the one drive in the first half where the Cowboys ran it on them a little bit. They threw it on them a little bit. They got the touchdown. But other than that, up until the Niners blew the lead, the defense was really good and started to blow the lead. The defense was really good overall, but it just we've seen this in so many games. Like they'll play well early, then there'll be a couple of drives, and then they'll play better. And then when they've had these leads, it's almost as if and John, you said this to me during the game. We were sitting next to you. It's almost like they stop playing or they just lose focus. And this team's not talented enough to be able to overcome that like maybe they would have been in other years. It's got to be more buttoned up. It's got to be, making sure that you're not allowing the best offensive player on the other team beat you.
Yeah, no doubt. 30-24, the 49ers get the win over the Cowboys, 4-4 at the break. And the irony is Seattle loses at home to Buffalo today. They got smoked 31-10.
They're fighting each other.
Yeah, they're fighting each other on the sidelines.
Love
Arizona beats the Dolphins, and then, of course, the Rams played on Thursday night, and they beat the Vikings. So you got 3 4-4s and a 3-4 in this division. What do you think of the 49ers just at the break now?
Yeah, I think they're fortunate. I mean, I think that they can look at it a couple different ways. I mean, they can look at it as, hey, fortunate to be 4-4. I think when you really take a step back, this team, top to bottom, is just they haven't played well in this first half.
Injuries,
injuries, and they just haven't. It hasn't been, whether it was the red zone issues that were prevalent offensively. Yes, the injuries for sure. The defense, I think, would say is not up to the 49ers standard, and yet they are 4-4, and they are right there in the division, as Fred Warner said, for whatever that's worth. Yeah. It's kind of like that. Like they're not, they got bigger goals than just winning a weak division at 9-8 or 10-7. But that being said, the ability to still get in and maybe have a home game, and as Fred Warner put it, they can be whatever they want to be, in the second half. They can get on a run. They've been a team that's gotten on a run. I think when you look at the schedule, it's going to be a difficult schedule. I mean, it really is. Although maybe, games change throughout the year, right? The Tampa game maybe doesn't look as daunting coming off the bye with the significant rest advantage that they'll have. Green Bay and Buffalo obviously are going to be tough on the road. The Lions are playing as well as anybody, but that's not till right before New Year's. Mm-hmm. But I would say every other game, aside from those four, you look at on paper and you'd be like, hey, those games are winnable, if not should wins. And if you get those, you're 10-7 right there. And I think that would be good enough to win the division. If you win a couple of the other ones, then maybe you can start having a conversation about moving up to 3 or maybe even moving up to 2. But they got to get healthy. They got to sharpen up defensively. They got to figure out, Brock is a little too up and down. I think he's a little inaccurate at times. The flow, a little just out of sync with receivers. Sure. At times, so you work on that, and I think they're going to make a trade. I think between now and the next time we talk, they're going to make some kind of a move to look to give this team an infusion from the second half.
And what would that move be, in your opinion?
I think they got to look at this point for a receiver on offense. I think that's the only position on offense that I would say they could look for. I still think defensive tackle is where to go defensively. They're just too. They just are too vulnerable to the run. The Cowboys hadn't run it on anybody, and they ran it in the first half. They just don't have enough interior at that defensive tackle spot being banged up, and they just can't clog it up the way it needs to be clogged up. And you're seeing teams that struggle to run the ball, able to run it on them in big stretches of games. So I know that's not the sexy.
Yes, it is. It is.
Maybe to you. To you it is, Dennis. That's right. I know my audience.
It's very sexy.
It is for you, but yeah, get somebody in there that can clog it up a little bit. I mean, I think it sounds like Greenlaw's coming back. Mm-hmm. It sounds like they're comfortable with their corner depth. Lenore is having a year.
He was great tonight.
He was terrific in this one tonight. I think the safeties are playing better with Mustafa, been less vulnerable over the top until right. CD starts getting going. But I think if I had to look at one position, offensively because of the injury to Ayuk, but defensively it's on that interior D-line. Somebody that can just plug up the run.
Well, and, if Greenlaw can be Greenlaw, I know that's tough coming off the Achilles, but now that's starting to get pushed back a little bit. And the one thing we got to remember, if Christian McCaffrey comes back after the bye like he's supposed to at Tampa, now that's a tough trip going across the country, but Christian McCaffrey, like a quarterback almost, makes a lot of these holes kind of disappear, especially offensively. All of a sudden, it's like, hey, remember when they were struggling? All of a sudden, McCaffrey's back. Mm-hmm. So that's not going to help the defense. I get that. but it's another weapon offensively, and he makes everybody better on the offensive side. So to me, that's the key right out of the gate is they're saying McCaffrey's going to be back.
And can they keep him healthy?
Right. And if he can be back against Tampa and be anywhere close to what he was last year when he was the poi, that's going to make a lot of things better offensively.
Oh, boy. That's Offensive Player of the Year. John Dickinson.
Did you say it's not Saxy? It's not Saxy.
Not Saxy, man. No, man.
Leave the accents to me. John Dickinson with us, our super reporter. It was for me. JD, you're on this week on. Are you with John this week?
I'm with John on Thursday and Friday, I believe. Although I think you might be out on Friday.
Yeah, I think I'm out Friday.
But I'll be in on Friday.
It's a bye week for John too.
Yeah, it is.
And for Greg.
For Greg.
So Greg's going to Greece or Peru or somewhere he's going. I don't know.
Yeah.
As if I hadn't been doing enough.
He spins a wheel.
He spins a wheel.
Work in the day and work all night.
Let's go.
And travel and then come home, then travel again.
John Dickinson, you've been all over the place, man, in Portland and then to the Bay Area to Sac, then to Utah, and then now here to cover this one. And you'll be out at Warriors on Tuesday, getting ready to cover the New Orleans Pelicans coming to town for a back-to-back.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Couple games for the Warriors against the Pelicans and out at Harmonic on Tuesday as well.
Nice. Come on by, have a pop, say what's up. Tolbert and I will be out there, and then after the game, you'll see JD and Greg Silver as part of Dubs OT. JD, have a good night, man, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Appreciate it, fellas.
Thanks, JD.
Good deal. We'll wrap things up here. We'll get you what's on tap for the 49ers as they enter the bye week 4-4. And I'll say this, it's palatable. 4-4 is palatable for the 49ers at this point. Adam Copeland, Dennis Brown, John Lund. We'll wrap things up when we come on back on the Sports Leader.
We're a confident team. You know, we know that we haven't played up to our standard that many times in these first 8 games. So, you know, I don't think that we like looking at this game to draw a bunch of confidence, some newfound confidence. I just think when we can run the ball effectively, not turn it over, I think the results today is kind of what we can expect if we can do that consistently for the rest of the year.
That's Trent Williams, Niners left tackle, all-pro left tackle, future Hall of Famer, saying, and I'm with him, and I think that's how 49er fans feel. There's not some newfound confidence after this game. This is a game that felt like they should win. They probably should have won it by more than they did, but they held on. I do think there's something to be said about that. You gotta. It's hard to win a football game, obviously. They've struggled to do so this year, and they get to enter the bye with it, despite all the injuries, despite all the bad stuff, despite the inconsistencies in our discussions about what they do well consistently enough. 4-4 and in second place, still maybe the worst division in football, but you get every division opponent one more time each, 3 more divisional games, and if they can do some correcting here, get Christian McCaffrey back, get Dre Greenlaw back, maybe they do go make a move like DJ Jones, a big defensive lineman at the deadline. This is a team that you could see going 10-7 or 11-6 potentially, and pulling out a division.
Yeah, and Trent said it. I mean, they're playing not to their potential. I mean, at the beginning of the season, you know, you're talking Super Bowl contenders again, NFC champs and all this stuff. Now you're 4-4 at the break here. You get some guys back, but it's a win, and it's Dallas, and it always feels good to beat Dallas. It always feels good to win at home, and it's been tough here at Levi Stadium to get those W's. So go into the bye, rest your body, and get ready for the second half and make a run at it, I think
whatever they did in the third quarter, man, you got to go back and look at that and just say this is what we got to do. They were down 10-6, and they just rolled Dallas in that third quarter, and it was enough to win the game. And I would agree with you. You can look at it 2 different ways. They haven't played to their capability, but they have so much talent that if they can get healthy, Christian McCaffrey comes back after the break, Dre Greenlaw comes back, you get some of these guys back healthy, this is going to be a team that still nobody wants to play in the playoffs. I mean, Detroit's probably playing the best football in all of the NFL, but if you put the 49ers in the NFC Championship game right now at Detroit, I don't think the Lions would feel great. I mean, these guys, somehow they get it done. 2 years ago, they were 4-4 at the break. They didn't lose a game till the NFC Championship game. We know what happened to Brock. So they're fully capable of doing it. They just have to do it on a more consistent basis after the bye.
Let's get you What's on Tap, sponsored by Fieldwork Brewing Company. With 8 locations around Northern California, fresh beer is always right around the corner. The bye week this week, and then the schedule does heat up for the Niners at Tampa Bay, where, by the way, you're going to see them without their top 2 receivers, likely in Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, who's now out for the season after the dislocated ankle. Then Seattle comes to town. Then it's at Green Bay, at Buffalo. So the next 4 are going to be tough. If you get Christian McCaffrey and Greenlaw back, you get through that trade deadline, see where you stand after those next 4 games. We're going to sign off here. Make sure you stay tuned to KNBR all week long for all your 49ers news and updates and interviews, your home of 49er football for the last 20 seasons. Big thanks to Tim Webb here in the at Levi Stadium with us, helping produce the show today. It's been a long, long day. Niners do come away with a victory. Thanks to Kyle and Kyle back at the KNBR studios in San Francisco. For the Super Bowl champion, Dennis Brown and John Lund, Adam Copeland signing off from Levi Stadium, where the 49ers have beaten the Dallas Cowboys 30-24. The sports continue only here on the Sports Leader.